a lot to me, especially when I play the best feeling in life.
Oh.
Watch me now. Watch me now. Watch me now. Everybody talk.
He's just watching.
I just get it done. Everybody talk. I just get it done.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Coming straight in, of course, to the second semi-final here in the XP Esports Women's League. Not a bad day to wind down a very busy day. I'm here alongside Spud. How are we feeling tonight?
I'm feeling great. I had a bit of a long week at work, but all of that is behind us. We're here for Siege. That's the good part, and we have got a great match coming up tonight. It's going to be Vertex versus Big Brain Esports. Just brain fart, just there. Yeah,
Takes
two
all your
great
brain
teams. It's
power
going to
just
be
to
really
say that.
exciting. I'm really excited. Yeah.
Look, let's get on into it, of course. A quick reminder of how we found ourselves in this position the season as it stands. Pretty simple stuff. 8 teams playing 7 weeks of best of 1 round robin. Top 4 then make it into playoffs. First seed versus 4th. Second versus third. We find ourselves in the second one. The winner of this will be joining the Warriors in that grand final. The loser will fall in that third place match and face off against the Radical Rebels. And we had some big teams this season, Spud, some big names and some big players as well. We find ourselves, though, with, 4 remaining here in the playoffs. And, look, Vertex, Big Brain Esports are 2 teams that could both push. Well, I mean, they could both push for that grand final spot tonight.
Yeah, of course, the loser will be facing off against Radical Rebels. For those of you who didn't catch that match, you really should watch it back because it was actually insane. It went 2-1 to Warriors, but it was actually really close. And that one game that Warriors lost, it went all the way. Well, I don't want to spoil too much, but let's just say it was really, really good. So I definitely expect that whoever comes out on top tonight, they're going to put a really good performance against Warriors next week as well. But of course, they're going to have to get past, each other today. It will be Vertex versus Big Brain. Of course, these teams are playing for some prizes as well. It's not all empty-handed. We do have a $3,000 prize pool supported by Ubisoft, of course. First place gets a nice $1,500, second $1,000, and third place $500. And fourth, they will get some R6 credits to back up their esports skins. But of course, you want to get to that grand final. You want to take home that big prize. $1,500 is no small amount of money.
No, not by any stretch of the imagination, but believe it or not, you at home can win as well. Get yourself involved in that weekly best play voting. Make sure you send your clips on through. Make sure you're tagging us as well if you want a chance of winning yourself one of those awesome little Rainbow Six chibis. So yeah, there you go. Everything you need to know on your screen. Clip it, ship it, send it through to us, and we'll obviously be giving away those later on. And look, Spud, let's find ourselves now. Let's find ourselves now on. Let's have a look at the leaderboard. Let's see how things ended out in that round robin stage. Of course, seeing how all these teams sort of stacked up against each other. And the Warriors, they ended the season up until last night undefeated. They are not out of the running yet. Obviously, they won in a 2-1 fashion, but they dropped their first map of the season. Vertex, they only lost to Warriors so far. Big Brain lost to both Vertex and the Warriors, and Radical Rebels lost to all 3 of them. So, I mean, all these teams have played each other. They know sort of what to expect. But tonight, I mean, honestly, Big Brain, Esports, and Radical Rebels in a best-of-3 format could go either way.
Yeah, these teams are about as evenly matched as you could expect them to. And let's take a look at what teams had to play each other in this finals playoff. Of course, we already mentioned Warriors versus Radical Rebels. Radical Rebels being at the bottom of that playoffs bracket meant they had to go off against the number 1 seed. Fortunately for them, they did fall 2-1, sending them to the third place playoff. Whereas Vertex and Big Brain, second and third seed, will get a chance to face each other. Slightly easier match, but still not too easy. Of course, winner goes on to face the Warriors in what I'm sure will be a grueling match. Loser will play Radical Rebels for that third place prize. But yeah, we've talked enough about all the other teams. Let's just focus on who we have playing tonight. We will be seeing Vertex and Big Brain Esports. And I think I'd really like to take a look at some of these rosters as well, some of these players. And I think first up, we have Vertex Esports on your screens.
Yeah, I mean, Vertex, newcomers to the competition, the players, not so much. They are very well known in the competition. Cass, Triceratops, Hazel, Buddha, and Serenity, all very, very scary gamers when it comes to getting involved in the server, of course. I mean, a number of these players would hold veteran status in this competition, and you could just look at the numbers across the board. Minus, obviously, Hazel, unfortunately, still yet to get those numbers up there with the rest of them, but across the board, they are looking to be peak performers. Their opponents, though, they're no slouches by any stretch of the imagination either. Let's have a look at Big Brain Esports. And there is a name on that list, Spud, who not only has great experience in the region, but at the highest level as well.
Oh my goodness, I didn't think she'd be playing tonight, but it is Repel R6, that's right, the one and only ESL observer and also caster now, who has, of course, been in Tier 1 in terms of talent, so she definitely knows all the strats. To back all this up, we have Yoshi, Chloe, Burner Bear, and Fish Noodle as well. They also have a coach, I don't believe he's mentioned there, but that coach hopefully will give them a little bit of extra perspective that the players themselves might not see. I do want to touch on one storyline, though, about between these teams, and that is last season, right? Big Brain actually played very much with the same players. They were played as Grumpy Grapes, and this season they've added Fish Noodle and Chloe, and the two players they actually replaced were Serenity and Cass, who are now on Vertex Esports. And of course, Vertex also features Buddha, who also played with Fish Noodle and Chloe and Repel last season as well. So both of these teams know how each other play, right? They spent a lot of time together in various iterations. So this is, a grudge match as much as it is a friendship match because, they know the ins and outs of how their play styles work. It's going to be really interesting to see how they read each other and counterplay each other as well.
Well, look, we've talked about the players, we've talked about the teams. Let's get in onto the maps, of course, Spud, and see where they will be doing battle, of course. We've seen a number of interesting maps played out this stage, but there's a possibility of something spicy going into the best of three. And speaking of spicy, map 1 is going to be Theme Park, picked by Big Brain. We then have the Clubhouse, and Oregon is our final decider map.
Yeah, it's interesting that Big Brain actually went for the Theme Park pick because this is a map that Vertex have played and Big Brain, on the other hand, haven't. Theme Park, this went 7-0 in favor of Vertex, so I'm a bit surprised that they've chosen that for their map pick. I'm hoping they have some good strategies in play because, well, Clubhouse definitely is not a great map for Big Brain in terms of this matchup. Last time Vertex and Big Brain played, which was at the end of the group stage, so not too long ago, Vertex beat Big Brain 7-3, and this was on Clubhouse as well. So, honestly, I'm a little bit surprised that Big Brain let Vertex get away with picking Clubhouse, but hopefully, Big Brain have learned from their lessons and they have some counter strategies ready, because if it goes the same way, then it's a sure win on Clubhouse Vertex.
Look, I'm expecting this one to go the full 3 mapper, if I'm being perfectly honest, but Theme Park, though, I mean, Big Brain might be living up to their name with this one. It's an unknown map. It's been out of the pool for a wee while, so it's not something that teams have actively been pursuing. And, I mean, there is a lot that could go into this map that Vertex may not be prepared for.
Yeah, it's certainly one of those maps which, on one hand, seems a little bit more defender-sided, but if you have a coordinated stack, it can actually work really well, and that's going to be the key here. Big Brain Esports needs to have that coordination and team play and rely on that experience that they've built up over all the seasons. In particular, we know that Yoshi and Fish Noodle both have captaining experience, whereas on the side of Vertex, this will be the first time Serenity is actually captaining a team. So whether those in-game leadership calls will come through, that's going to make a huge difference on how these maps play out, and especially on Theme Park. Of course, Clubhouse, Oregon, lots of mini games as well where you need to be getting those calls right. So it's really going to test their leadership skills as we enter these maps.
Look, I'm excited. I love me a bit of Theme Park. I don't know what my camera's doing right now. I can understand though. I feel it. I know exactly how it's operating at the moment. My brain's a bit fried. It's been a long day, but look, you love winding down with a bit of siege, especially going into the semi-finals here. And we are going to be jumping into Theme Park in just a moment. Spud, operator band on the card. So are we expecting anything crazy?
I see a fat fan being really prominent here. It helps to keep some of these walls shut. But I could also see maybe a mirror ban. A frost ban would be really interesting because there's a couple of strategies on lab storage which rely quite heavily on the frost. So I could see that being removed off the board. But Vertex first to go, not surprised. Sorry, Thatcher. Yeah, from Vertex.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of expecting the Flores, but potentially also, Jackal. But no, it is going to be Big Brain taking out the Flores. And yeah, I suppose that might have come courtesy of Repel and seeing just how impactful Flores being let through can be at the highest level of play in our region. So, understandable pick, not to mention the fact that it is just very, very strong. Mirror as well, another very potent operator on Theme Park. Final ban, I mean, I'm expecting something along the lines of either a Valkyrie or a Cade.
Yeah, it's already quite defender-sided. Getting rid of the mirror just makes it a little bit easier. Same with the Kaid, though. Having said that, when I'm defending, I do like actually keeping the Kaid and the Bandit and the Mute on board, and then playing vertical on the attack instead. Of course, it relies on coordination. So if Big Brain have that in mind, same with Vertex, and that's definitely something I see them keeping on board, which is exactly what's played out. You see the Valkyrie, no more C4s being thrown up with the help of cameras. It makes a lot of sense.
Kaid in play, though, means that, especially on this site here, being Armory thrown, Big Brain might have to get a little bit creative in trying to provide those openings. They do have the one hard breach shown. There is obviously the potential for an attack repick. And I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if we see some sort of pivot into the Twitch, given the utility that could be cleared out with the drone.
Yeah, look, we see the addition of quite a lot of denial here. We see both the Mute and Kaid, as you mentioned. No Bandit, which is interesting, though I assume you do have enough to cover all the walls anyway. And yes, we mentioned, the lack of hard breach, but we only see a single hard breach switching over Habana onto the Ace, and that still keeps the number, the same thing. Maybe Chloe has brought along some hard breach charges. They are very useful for opening that split hatch. And of course, with the addition of that Twitch, you can still get rid of some of these denial, which will be very, very important, mind you, because you have to open a wall. If you don't open the walls in Armory Throne, there is no way you can win this site. It's just that simple.
Well, no secondary hard breach charges for Chloe this time around. Will be the stuns instead. I would imagine they're probably going to look to try and pop either the Cade Claw or the Mute Jammer off these walls with nades instead. Could be a little bit harder given the way my and the Jaeger are both in play, not to mention the Castle for Buddha. So there is a lot of utility and a lot of investment that Big Brain will need to commit to be able to pressure it inside.
Yeah, we see 3 players as well actually stacked upstairs, so they're going to be doing a lot of delaying, and also denies that vertical play that we talked about earlier. Yoshi, however, will just straight up deny Buta. That's one pick already in favor of Big Brain, and a really good start to this attack. Less than a minute already, and they've already taken out a player.
Mentions the threat of Zofia at the moment with the LMGE and just how potent it is, not to mention how effective it is over range. You can't be peeking angles like that. You need to be playing something a little bit better, especially, the MP45, not the ideal situation, but they will start to pop this office wall repel. Needs to be a little bit careful, though. Back was presented, and that could have been a very, very deadly loss, but you can see Serenity tucked in around the corner. Drone shot out will be the retreat back in the vault for now. Doesn't want to overcommit to the play. Will open up a rotate option for herself as well. So Vertex not heavy committing. Oh, no, I say that. This could be the push. Chloe is going to go down. Unfortunately, XPWL is just too clutch in the moment. Fish Noodle there with the LMG. Will find the follow-up and trade, though.
Yeah, you do lose a lot of vertical presence, though, so I'd say that's a pretty good trade for what it is. However, the player advantage is still firmly in favor of Big Brain. Of course, that can change. Sarah does have a C4 to play with here, could throw that back up, and of course, double impacts, bit of damage, and Cass could certainly find a pick there. For now, though, the attack seems to have slowed down. A minute left to work with, and they still need to get these walls open. This is what we talked about. They need to play the vertical on these on this armory wall in order to open that up, and that seems to be the play here. Ace charges coming through. They have their point of entry now. They've got 30-ish seconds now to clear out some more players and get enough control for that execute.
Power of the Twitch drone enabling this push to go through, clearing out that defensive utility and providing an avenue in which to encroach upon the side. Already we see that utility dump. Hazer just tucked into a corner. Sarah there with the crossfire. They're trying to find the opening in. Dragon Door could be the play, but no one really pulling the trigger just yet. They want a little bit more security. The utility dump through the breach will be there. Nade does not connect. Unfortunately, the crossfire is good for one. Make that two. As Vertex hold fast, it is down to Yoshi and Burner Bear. 1 found, 2 found from Burner, 3 from Burner! And Big Brain, despite the monumental deficit they were facing, clutched the round.
I thought that was it. I honestly did. I thought, well, there's a crossfire on that armory wall. There's no way you can win that out. But I failed to see that, well, Big Brain still had 2 players, and that was all they needed. Once they managed to get in on that flank, they can actually take that fight at the armory wall, and that's indeed what happened. 2 quick picks in a row there from, I believe, it was Burner Bear on that Twitch, and that was it. It all came down to the last seconds, but Big Brain managed to clutch it out, although in a little less comfortable of a fashion as I think they would have liked to.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Indeed. And, well, Vertex, they make the call. They're not going to double down with the same site. They are going to instead head to bunk and daycare. I mean, understandable. You find yourself at a point there with, what, 9 seconds left in the round. Big Brain make the play and still come up with the win. That's, yeah, that is the understandable play in the situation.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't fault them for choosing the same site again. Overall, it wasn't that bad. They did manage to bring it down to the last 10 seconds, and honestly, that's a pretty good defense there. But if you look at how the whole round played out, then you start to understand why they're doing this. I mean, you look at the opening picks and how those went. It was always in favor of Big Brain, and despite Serenity getting that pick onto the buck, eventually it all just rolled back into Big Brain's favor. So, yeah, it makes sense that Vertex now want to choose a different site. They say, hey, let's not go through that same process again where we just keep losing players early on and don't have that player advantage to fight with. Instead, let's reset, go to a different site, keep them on their toes.
Smart stuff. I mean, especially after a round like that, you do want sort of a reset because that is not ideal for the mental. I mean, you're in a prime position to close it out on the clock, and all of a sudden, Big Brain just push in and win it on the gunfights. Burner Bear hitting a sick 180 there in the kill cam too. Boot it right now. Back on the Jaeger, bit of a fiend that she is on this operator. Could do a lot of damage to this Big Brain aggression on the push upstairs. Ping's coming through, the info already being fed, but it's this Monty that I'm most concerned about for Vertex.
Yeah, I want to see how this plays out because I don't think we've really seen Big Brain use this strategy before. Certainly they've been practicing it. It's been something they've kept in pocket along with this theme park pick. And so far it looks like Big Brain have a pretty good idea of what they're doing. Monty, of course, will also provide a lot of information that's been denied by the mute so far. It's a great counterplay here, and especially against aggression that we've seen from Vertex, really stops them from playing that same way.
Fish Noodle with an aid, wants to try and clear initiation out. Unfortunately for her, no one even remotely nearby to receive the explosive damage. Chloe just trying to find an angle, finding information, wants that security. So when they do push into the room, they can make a play successfully. And Serenity just tucked in the corner is still an unknown quantity. Until now, Yoshi will be able to drone her out, and they should get that info. Yeah, spotted. They now know that there's one close. They already knew that there was one out in the hallway, so they could make some big plays here, and Fish Noodle does just that.
Yeah, great play there from Fish Noodle, right onto that perfect information. Yoshi also following up with one onto Buddha. Again, the pings coming out from the Monty, I can't understate how important that is. With Hazel's position given away now, that's all the early denial gone. However, she will be able to find one onto Yoshi in the meantime. Almost finds one onto that Monty. Unfortunately, Monty keeps his shield up. Just toying with his alibi. fact, the Alibi is worse off for wear compared to this Monty, but it will be Burnabear to get that pick. Cat one on the trade as well, a second in fact, but Fish Noodle finally finished that off 1v2.
Oh, Chloe just crouch walking towards top arcade. With the pistol out, will find the final kill. And it was a hip fire, of course. Big Brain, the second round more convincing than the first. Still a bit later on. But the way they did it was much more aggressive. Poor Buddha, unfortunately, yeah. Getting a little bit whiffed on. But, I mean, it was that push from control room as well that really undid the defense. They were so heavily focused on the Monty, which is exactly what you want for Big Brain. The Fish Noodle took initiation, found the flank, and blew that entire push wide open.
Yeah, a little bit concerning there that the Alibi player did fall off that control position, that initial position fairly early and left Serenity quite alone by herself. If Serenity also had fallen back as well, then things could have gone a little bit differently, just off the fact that you keep that player alive and don't have one player, kind of left out there to try. But, it could still have worked. It took a while for Big Brain to actually drone her out, even with the Monty in play. So that was a lot of time wasted. At the end of the day, though, although Big Brain seemed to be a little bit slow on their attack, at the end, on the execute, they always managed to find their shots. And I think it also speaks really well to the positioning that they're playing. They managed to get those flanks, get Vertex where they're not expecting it, where they're not looking. That certainly helped put them 2 up on this attack.
Well, Vertex going to go for the third. I mean, honestly, Spud, what do you reckon? What are the odds we do get to see Lab and Storage in the next round if this site doesn't work? Because so far, it's just been Vertex trying to make some piece of the puzzle fit.
Look, Lab Storage is actually a really strong site. It was when it was last in Pro League, it was the preferred primary site for some teams. So it can work. You've got that horizontal presence you can play, and then you can fall back. As long as, you don't let anyone jump in Lab, but, with the Aruni, with Frost, it's very, very doable. So I want to see Vertex try it. I really do. But given the way that so far their defenses have been playing out, might be better just to stick with something safe, something they're comfortable with, and, stick the traditional sites.
Jump in, the stim's coming through, but they are on cam, so it will be known that Fish Noodle is up here. Chloe on the Osa as well. Known quantities, and unfortunately the Magnet's going to make things a little bit harder. The utility dump towards waiting. I don't know if it's connected onto the shield, but Yoshi will find Buddha and shut her down once again. Another unfortunate death for her so far in Theme Park, and Big Brain are playing this almost to a T.
Very clinical the way they're placing their attacks and cutting off those flanks. That rappel on that bathroom window, it's really an underrated position because it can be so strong. You stop anyone pushing up from Inishi and you hold that flank while staying relatively safe. I say relatively, of course, because there are still ways you can counter it, but so far, Vertex don't seem to really know what to do there, and they're a little bit boxed in, is the feeling I'm getting. They're under a lot of pressure, and Vertex just need to sit behind these shields, get these long angles, and, well, almost freebies here.
Yeah, unfortunately for Rappel, she momentarily forgets about the long angle that was there at hip height, and she does go down. It picked up courtesy of the Nano Boost, thanks to Fish Noodle, just to keep her alive that little bit longer. And you can see already the progression march from Big Brain. They are looking to get themselves deeper and deeper towards that site right now. Going into the final 40, the push is stagnating a little bit, unfortunately. Big Brain aren't quite as willing as you would have thought, given the positioning. 9 of 10 players alive in the server. There is still some hesitancy for some reason. They are going to rotate the shield around, so it might be the play that's coming now. Push through showers. Yoshi there as well. Spots the shoulder in through initiation. A Magnet goes out. She'll have that info. But will that be able to help her at all? Pops to Saria Gate. Going to make a big play here if she can. But no angles, no positions, nothing being presented to her right now. Vertex might be able to play this one on the clock. The pre-fire's coming in. Serenity for the first onto Chloe. Cass there for one of the fish as well. It's all come apart, and it's all Vertex at the end. Despite losing the first gunfight, they win the rest.
And that was well played there from Vertex. Even though they were boxed in, they managed to just kind of hold their ground. They didn't go for the unnecessary aggressive peaks. They kind of just waited for Big Brain Esports to kind of take that initiative and go for the push. And that's where we've seen Big Brain struggle and finally fail at in this last round. If we think back to those first 3 rounds, we saw a lot of late executes. Big Brain, although they came off the better out of those late executes, it was still fairly delayed. Last 30 seconds, last 10 seconds type of affair. And Vertex have realized this. They've said, well, if they're going to do that, we're just going to sit here, waste all their utility, and when they finally have a chance to walk in right at the end, that's when they're going to walk into our crossfires. And it played out perfectly. 1 versus 4, the only player they lost was right at the start, and then there wasn't any action for them until the last, 30 seconds of that round. So, the Big Brain, it's a matter of getting a move on a little bit earlier, finding that momentum early, and then building on it. They can't let the defense stall them out and stagnate like they did in that last round. Otherwise, Vertex might actually get away with equalizing, even taking the lead here.
Oh boy.
10 seconds remaining.
They've got one at least, so they know that they can go back to initiation and waiting, and their
5
defense is
seconds
pretty
to go.
sound there. It's so hard to call
Attacker's objective is to
how
defuse
this
the
might go, given, the last time it was played, it came down to the 2 versus 2 and the dying moments, and Big Brain just hit all their shots. So it wasn't like the defense from Vertex was a complete fall apart. They actually stalled them out until literally the last 9 seconds of the round, and that's when the push started to happen. So, I mean, realistically, if they make some minor changes, they could hold this one down.
Yeah, and that's something we talked about after that first Armory Throne round, of course, that it wasn't all that bad from Vertex. On the plus side, though, Big Brain still have a lot of work to do here. They've got some improvements that they can still be making, especially with that early on vertical game. Speaking of vertical, it seems like they're not too interested this time, opting for that horizontal take that we see a lot in terms of going for that maintenance, those barrel walls, but again, fairly slow progress. They are taking the time to drone things out, get that intel with the OSA shield, but
attacker's bomb diffuser
1
has
minute
been
already
lost.
gone and they lose their hard breacher for all of that.
Yeah, and no subsequent hard breach, which means that, well, unfortunately, Big Brain are they're going to have to force through these doorways, which is, I mean, not the ideal situation by any stretch. I mean, you just think Dragon Door, Split Door, either way, you're running into an absolute meat grinder of a position. And unfortunately, the fatal flaw of this Big Brain plan has been exposed.
Yeah, the 1 hard breacher. We mentioned it early on that it's very dangerous having only 1 hard breacher here. More so than Clubhouse, I would say. This is a map you have to absolutely, especially on this side, have more than 1 hard breacher. Now, we see they're just stuck outside, right? Vertex have figured it out. They're just going to sit inside. They're just going to wait for them to funnel through those doors. They can't even open up the hatch, right? And yeah, they don't need to do anything to win this round. They just need to wait.
Yeah, I mean, Cass doesn't even need to be throwing the magnets right now. They don't. Unfortunately, they don't realize that they've taken out the only hard breach that Big Brain have. If they'd come to that realization, they could have just set up so much of this utility around the Dragon Door, around Split. But right now, there are several very massive gunfights that are going to have to happen in just a moment. Oh, just look at the angles. Look at the positions that Vertex are holding down right now. Any number of them could spell death for Big Brain if they're not careful. And there's the first Yoshi. The second of Big Brain to fall here in round 4. Get one back, though. Buddha will fall for the 4th time without a kill answering it, unfortunately. But once again, Spud, we find ourselves in the dying moments of this round. Vertex need to hold fast. Chloe might be able to get the shield in deep. It's going to be a tuck in. Too many angles to cover. She's in deep there with support, but Serenity's going huge. It's all just down to Chloe. No chance of redemption in Vertex. Off that massive opener onto Repel, we'll find their 2nd round.
Well, they may have started off a little bit slow, but they seem to have found their footing here. And Big Brain, although, it was a great start, fallen off a little bit off the wagon here. And now they need to pick up that momentum again going into this 5th round. Having said that, though, 2 rounds in attack on Theme Park isn't all that bad. It's pretty good, let's be honest here. 3-3 is, probably the best they can hope for, if I'm honest. I really don't see a 4-2 happening here in favor of Big Brain, but, by some miracle, perhaps. But realistically, 3-3 is best.
Attackers need to locate and
Yeah, I mean, the likelihood of that. I think Theme Park, again, still sort of falls in that defender-sided nature across the globe. I mean, you look at the likes of Oregon, which is perfect, split down the middle of 50-50. I think, yeah, Theme Park, there's just so many nooks, so many crannies, so many different defensive positions that Vertex can play around. They should have the advantage in the remaining 2 rounds.
And again, bit of a strange pick here that Big Brain has let Vertex play on Theme Park, considering, well, Vertex has played this already, but you know how they play. Whereas Big Brain, it's untested waters. Whatever strategy they were saving, it's time to bring it out now. It is 2-2 even round, and Big Brain need to get some rounds on the board on attack. As we said, very difficult to do so. So, 2-2, you know, it's not all bad.
Workable, definitely workable for either of these teams right now. But I mean, Vertex, they have the momentum off the last 2 rounds, so they've been grueling rounds for Big Brain as well. That much cannot be denied. I mean, losing your sole hard breach as the first opening kill in that last round, it's going to be a bit to battle back for Big Brain.
Yeah. Well, I was going to compliment them on their ability to adapt and the fact that Chloe had gone onto a Thermite, but it seems to have changed back to the Osa. I think they're a little bit more confident in keeping Repel alive. You know how you always try to pick up Bolo? It's the same thing, right? Pick up Repel. Don't let the hard breacher die. Hey, good start. Already got 1 pick. Serenity's position has been given away. We'll be forced to fall back now. And hey, at least you got the player advantage. Certainly helped Big Brain very much in the first 2 rounds, at least.
Buddha, I mean, it's a surprisingly quiet game from her so far. Usually she's the one off in the corners playing the Jaeger or something just a little bit cheeky and going for those big plays. Right now, she has been the primary target #1 for Big Brain. They've shut her down 4 rounds in a row. Yoshi on the hunt, going to be tagged and finds Serenity, just unfortunately standing up in the wrong place at the wrong time. And another falls for Vertex, which gives a clear advantage to Big Brain.
Buda, however, will finally find Fish Noodle. She does find that first pick there and going for that push on to the Os as well. Forced to fall back though with the flashbangs coming in. And of course, time has now run down. It's probably a good idea now to fall back and play site, which is where Vertex historically has really done very well. I think part of that will come to... Sorry, I think part of that is off the fact that the trades just aren't coming out for Vertex when they're on the roam. As opposed to on the site, they can get those crossfires, and even if one falls, someone else can take that pick. On the roam, it's a little bit different, and I think playing an anchor style will really benefit them here.
The push has to come. Sarah finds the equalizer. All of a sudden, it is 3 versus 3. Make that a 3 versus 2 in Vertex's favor. Chloe and Repel have to make the push onto the site, look for the plant, or the 3 kills remaining. Chloe watching herself with that shield in hand, just pushing deep through waiting. Looking for the angle. Repel, unfortunately, is going to be repelled, not repelled, in this endeavor, pushing along the cafe corridor. Might find the angle onto Sarah, but not to be. Yes, no, it is! Sarah caught looking the wrong way to be finished off. 10 seconds remaining. 1 versus 2, but not to be. Cass is on a tear.
Once again, Big Brain start off strong. They get the first 2 picks, but unfortunately, they don't have enough to close out the round. As we talked about, the same pattern is starting to come out. On the roam, Vertex are not as strong. Big Brain are able to cut them off and win those gunfights, but when it comes to the execute, Vertex have really good positions on site that Big Brain haven't been able to flush out. And so by the time they get around to actually getting on site, they're rushed, there's no time, there's no info, and all Vertex need to do is just hold those crossfires, wait for Big Brain to just walk into their sites and put a bullet in their brain. Big Brain need to find a way to put pressure onto site via utility, via frag grenades. There needs to be more frag grenades. I see only one set of frag grenades, and I don't think that's enough.
Well, we head to the site that kicked off the run for Vertex. Initiation waiting upon us once again. Chloe was contemplating the Monty, but is going to be going back to the Yosa, and Repel going to change things up, wanting just that little bit bigger of a hole with the Thermite instead. But There has to be concern. I mean, Big Brain started the map very, very well with 2 very massive clutch rounds, but Vertex, they've been solid in the last 3.
Yeah, 3 rounds in a row has certainly broken the momentum that Big Brain were hoping to pick up. Only hope now is that Big Brain will be able to get around here before this flip over, because Vertex building up that momentum going onto the attack will certainly help them. Big Brain want to reset things, get a little bit of even footing, and then go on to what is, considered the stronger side. My question then is whether Vertex will suffer from the same problems that Big Brain have been facing on attack. Is this just a matter of the map being very difficult to attack, or is this, a distinct Big Brain problem?
I think familiarity as well is probably going to play into it just that little bit more. Which of these 2 teams is more familiar with the map on the defense or the attack? And already Vertex have shown an insane amount of familiarity, so I can only imagine that their attacking side will be rather strong as well. I say that Hazel dealt with quickly by Fishnoodle.
This is a second round that's happened that Fishnoodle has actually taken out Hazel, and again, it's on these very aggressive solo roams, and it's always a bit of a coin toss, right? You can do very well, get a lot of nice picks, or you can get droned out or jackal pinged out and instantly killed without having any impact. It's a very risky style of play. So far, Vertex are getting away with it based off the fact that the anchors are doing a really good job of holding onto things at the end. But if it wasn't for that, Vertex should be concerned about losing that player early on.
Okay, it's going to be the turn. It's the rotate through into break. Yoshi through the wall. Knows that Boot is there because of all the noise. We'll go for the pre-fire. Bernabet at 4. Courtesy of Serenity. The numbers, again, just falling here and there across the board. Yoshi has some idea that there is going to be someone in waiting. An initiation, but it's Sarah swinging out for the kill. That equalizer coming through once again. And you can see the hectic motion. Both teams know that they are primed and ready to make this round theirs. And unfortunately, both teams find themselves equal across the board. Serenity sees that office wall going. Big Brain will slow it down again just a little bit to get that information.
I like to see these walls being opened. It is so important. I'm glad they've finally gotten around to doing it. This time with a lot more time as well, but Serenity on this flank now could actually do a lot of damage. That shield slightly angled the wrong way, but Repel actually going for the plant here. But no, a double kill. Repel goes down. Vishnoodle as well taken down low, and that's a fuser dropped as well. This is not looking good. And with that, it will be a 4-2-half for Vertex.
Vertex, 4 in a row here to close out their defense on Theme Park. Now, it is Big Brain Esports time. They've got a lot of ground to make up.
Yeah, 4 rounds in a row is definitely going to take a toll on the mental, especially with such a great start that we saw early on. The saving grace here, of course, is that this is a bit of a switch around. We do get to see Big Brain on the defense here. So hopefully they've got some strats pocketed up for this, because if things go the same way as it did, then I think we're going to be in for a very quick theme park.
Yeah, again, I think familiarity is key here, and Vertex seems to be the more familiar team right now on this map. Defense for Big Brain underway. We see a couple of changes. We will see that Frost coming in for Bernabet, as well as the Aruni for Fishnoodle. But I mean, I'm excited. Chloe, one of the best SAS operator players in this competition. Now she's on the defense. Now she's on the mute. She could look to do a lot of damage.
You can stop worrying about grenades now.
Yeah, the shotgun and the SMG in hand is a potent combo. Really looking forward to how many kills you can get. 1 in 5 so far, so not having the best game so far. Same with Repel, 1 in 6, unfortunately. On the side of Vertex, though, Serenity, 9 and 3, Cass, 8 and 2, both doing really well. These two, of course, the players from Grumpy Grapes who transferred over, started their own team, it seems, in the form of Vertex, and looks like to have taken the success with them as well. It's no wonder that Serenity, of course, MVP for Season 5, and certainly showing us why.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, like I said, if you look across the entire server, all of these players could be touting that veteran status in this competition. And it just, again, it's showing in the gameplay. It's showing in what they're bringing round upon round. 9-3 and 4 Serenity. Cass, 8-2 and 2. they have really, I mean, despite that start from Big Brain, absolutely turned things around and rolled them over.
Yeah, it's now up to Big Brain to make a change to that because, as I said, the momentum certainly favors Vertex at this time. At least the site, or in terms of the sides, Big Brain do have a little bit of advantage, and things are starting to look like they might play out the same on the attack. It's been, what, 1 minute gone already? 2 minutes remaining, and they've only just entered the building, which
Oh my god,
concerning.
Fish Noodle. What was that on the Serenity? And oh, it's 2! Sarah falls as well. And there you go, Spud. We find ourselves in a position where, well, the hard breacher is dead for Vertex as well. And my god, I talked about familiarity. Fish Noodle knows her angles will fall to Hazel, but repelled there. Is going to swing, does not find the kill. So 2 quick doubles for both teams to kick this round off.
Yeah, good attempt there from the refrag, but unfortunately doesn't close it out. Yoshi will find the next one, Buta, to fall, and with these two players stuck in the in that cafe walk-in area, with all these crosses being held, it's going to be so very, very difficult. And I question a little bit this entry that they've chosen only to enter from a single point. They do manage to make it onto site, get away with unseen, but one player remaining now with Burner Bear on a kill, and, well, position given away. This is going to be very difficult.
Poor Yoshi. Dealt with by the knife, 2 versus 1. I mean, this is still clutchable for Kaz. Has a nano boost and a frag grenade. Remaining, unfortunately, walks across the door without checking the top of the stairs and will lose a significant portion of her health on top of what was already stimmed. And there is a player just tucked into waiting, and Kaz makes the decision to go for the plant attempt. Chloe walking on up. Nitro would be able to go deep enough. It's thrown, but the swing out and almost to kill Cass. Somehow surviving. Finds Burner. Down to the 1 versus 1. Chloe has to clutch it up here. Mags are huge on the LMG, and the frag grenade's going to be good too. Nice and deep. Chloe nowhere to go, and Vertex booked themselves a 5th.
Well, I was going to comment on the fact that they had entered all through the same point, that this was going to go down exactly the same way as it did for Big Brain. A very stalled out attack with crossfires on the execute. But unfortunately for Big Brain, Hazel and finally Cass able to find those picks, even things out. And unfortunately at the end, the crossfires weren't there for Big Brain. They took that fight 1v1, Burner Bear peeking by herself, Chloe peeking by herself. And we saw how that went down to a 1v1, and then the frag grenade perfectly placed as well. Vertex now win their first attack, and if they take this pan again, a second attack, then, well, they'll be on match point.
Not to mention the fact that this is Big Brain's map pick as well for Vertex to take that and then move us onto Clubhouse. Presents a dangerous prospect if you are a Big Brain Esports fan right now. Though, I mean, look, it's not impossible. 3 rounds are definitely doable on the defense. But to lose the first round of the half like that has to be a little bit detrimental to the mental.
Certainly going to be frustrating, I guess, because it started off so well. 2 early picks, and then it all just kind of fell apart. And we're seeing this theme repeated for Big Brain. They get the early picks, but aren't able to hold on to the lead. Whether it's a question of getting a little overconfident, or the fact that Vertex are just really good at maintaining their confidence, going for those plays when they need to. Certainly, Vertex seem to be on the upper hand of this, very much so.
Oh, I could not imagine that Big Brain imagined they would find themselves here either. So it's a bit of confusion on their part. They obviously had a game plan coming into this matchup that has not panned out whatsoever. And Vertex are solidly in the driver's seat right now.
Yeah. And I just worry for Big Brain, especially once they go onto that second map, Clubhouse, where Vertex has historically defeated them. How things are going to change, or if they will at all, or whether the same pattern will continue. Fish Noodle once again playing the exact same position. This time there is barbed wire to protect her a little bit. Burner Bear hopefully able to hold a crossfire here. Again, picking these very sharp angles, won't be able to find a quick kill like last time, but certainly in a very dangerous position.
Utility relocation there. That ADS repositioned onto the daycare door to provide Fishnet a little bit of extra support right now. We see this continued fatal flaw, though, from both teams, only bringing the solitary hard breach. Hazel, having already gotten down Arcade, is looking to rotate in through and up main stairs if possible. Over towards yellow, that is. But there is just too many angles to contest right now. Big Brain lose one, which they will. Fish falls. Hazel, though, traded back. And that makes things just that little bit harder. More angles still to cover.
Serenity has taken this top yellow stairs position. For the most part, Bernabé still able to challenge from below and repel from this long angle, but it will be very, very difficult, especially, of course, with Cass leading the charge along with Serenity. Again, the crossfires just aren't quite there, and Fishneedle seemed to be hung out a little bit to dry. Didn't have the support there, and that means once she falls, no one to retrade.
Serenity there, Yoshi just tucking around the corner. It's going to be Cass to fall next. No more Finker. No more health boost. Yoshi confirming the kill onto Serenity. Looks for more, spots Buddha and does some decent damage. That player advantage is there for Big Brain once again, but last time, unfortunately, it did not matter. Luckily for them, the player that was the one to do the damage no longer in the round finished off quite cleanly. Sarah equalizes at the 2-2. Chloe, they spot Yoshi. Buddha gets aggressive on the swing. It is down to Repel to clutch it up here in the final 10. Too many angles, too many positions. Spots the hip of Buddha, but does not get the kill. Charging on through, brings it back to the 1v1. Sarah has to go for the plant right now. She can't contest, and she loses it on the clock. Big Brain win it, and somehow Vertex miss out.
It was oh so very close. I'm not sure how the diffuser ended up there, and I've been told by the observer, she actually fell through the hatch.
Oh,
the ace carrying the diffuser fell through that split hatch. That's how she ended up down there with the diffuser. Again, I was so confused. I was like, what is she doing down there? How did she end up there? Why is the diffuser down there as well? But there it is. A tiny square in the middle of the corridor is what saved Big Brain from going to match point.
Attackers need to
look.
as many bombs as they can.
I mean, if not for that, it probably would have been a Vertex round, because they would have had a safe plant position and they would have been able to make the play, but no. Unfortunately, it's not how it goes. 3-5, Big Brain get a bit of a reprieve in the 8th, and now they head to Armory and Throne to try and bring it back within one spud. That might come back to bite Vertex.
It's certainly going to be tilting, that's for sure. Big Brain have had their fair share of tilt moment, but for Vertex, it's their turn to shine now. Falling through the hatch is not a great way to lose a round. At the same time, though, they played it pretty much to textbook perfection. They got all the picks they needed. And Big Brain, on the other hand, didn't really seem to be able to get those trades back. And again, something that both teams have struggled with, but it always seems to end up in Vertex's favor. So for Big Brain, it's going to be something they need to improve on here. Otherwise, Vertex just got to keep repeating what they've been doing, do the same thing, and it's going to be a win for Vertex.
Big Brain stealing them somewhat, knowing that this push could be a very brutal one, especially, I mean, you look again, the numbers across the board for Vertex are deadly. Your Finker and your IQ going off huge on the attack. Oh, there's so much concern. Big Brain need to steel themselves. They need to get themselves mentally ready for just how brutal the close of this half could be. But, I mean, that last round, they scraped through. They need to be doing it a little bit more convincingly from now on.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of stalling early on would really benefit Big Brain. If they're not getting the trades, at least they need to be wasting time. The Vigil won't be much help here, given that Serenity is playing that IQ, but anything more than that, maybe a mute to deny the information, they've got that multi, perhaps, anything to just slow down the way Vertex are attacking, and that will at least hopefully buy them enough time, so the same thing happens on defense, where they have to push into that meat grinder. The Vertex are able to, well, they're able to get the first pick. I was going to say Big Brain might have an advantage if that happens, but Vertex just, again, pick, no retrade, man advantage.
Yeah, losing Bernabé is a bit rough, but Look, there's still utility to be able to make plays here for Big Brain. Repel with the pre-place does do some decent chunk onto Hazel there. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to get the kill or the down even. So Cash should be able to get the least healthy members of Vertex back up to full in just a moment. In that final minute mark, there's just so many options available to Vertex on this push.
So able to find one through that split hatch, not reinforced. Going to be a bit of a mistake here, and with the free vertical rain, the sledge can do so much damage. Don't even need to do that. Serenity just pretty much just drops another player. 2 players left now, Chloe and Yoshi. Two of the standout players here. But will it be enough?
Well, we've got about 25 seconds to find out. Of course, they've got 5 to find. Chloe with the shotgun. Yoshi with the MP5 is going to be good for her first. Chloe holding this door. Needs to hit some big kills, and already the breach is starting to happen over towards Armory. This is where things start to get a little bit deadly. The opening there, 9 seconds left in play. The push has to come. Chloe walks straight into Hazel's waiting iron sight, unfortunately. Yoshi back behind the throne, needs to hold on as Sarah commits to the plant, and they have the advantage now. Hazel from long range takes the kill, just crouch walking through the site, and Vertex find themselves primed on map point.
That defense just really did not work out well for Big Brain. A couple of key mistakes there. One, split hatch not being reinforced. Another, maybe Burner Bear going for that peak without any support meant that it was a free gift to Vertex, essentially. Free player advantage. And then, of course, letting the sledge do so much work, open up so much pressure onto that throne armory wall, that was the key undoing. And by the end of it, there were 2 players left for that execute. 2 against 5. It's just not going to work out.
Not an ideal situation. Unfortunately, it seems that Big Brain may have overextended themselves with this theme park pick. Down 3 rounds, Vertex only needing a single one to close things out and take us to their map pick as well. It's a gamble that has not paid off, frankly.
On the side of Vertex, though, things are definitely going very, very well. Their attacks have been very, very clinical. Although a little slow to start, as we've seen from both sides, to be honest. They certainly find their pacing at the end and get all the picks they need. Led, of course, by Cash and Serenity, 12 and 11 effectively. But there's not much more to say at this point. Right? Big Brain are really struggling on their own map pick, and once we go onto Clubhouse, which Vertex won last time these 2 teams met, I'm afraid this might be a 2-0 for Big Brain.
We'll have to see. Big Brain still had the opportunity. 3 rounds, all that's needed for OT, and then they could look to push it out there. But the likelihood of that dwindling at the moment, given just how well Vertex have been playing this map, of course. And one in the last 7 rounds has been Big Brain's, which is not the ideal situation by any thought. Serenity pushing through deep already. Might meet some resistance, but for now, no, it's just clearing out cams, looking for utility. Burner not going to swing just yet.
Bomb located by attackers.
Interesting that the round count the player count says 5v4, but I distinctly see 5 Vertex players still alive. Serenity has been doing so much damage with the IQ. Just on entry, she does her work, right?
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
Now, with
Psychic.
the vertical as well.
The Spectator is psychic. It called it. Sarah down. The hard breach gone. Unfortunate loss there. Player in control. Spotted from long range. Neither Hazel nor Yoshi can connect, unfortunately. But Hazel, the last couple of rounds, has been a real problem for Big Brain. No doubt that she's going to keep that one rolling just for a little bit. Frag grenade primed and ready. Burner Bear, though. Good for a second. Serenity. That's your IQ and your ace off the board. This makes things infinitely harder for Vertex.
At the same time, it's not completely over for them yet. They've done very well, even fighting back from that player deficit. But that will make it harder once again. Buddha taken out now, and this looks close to be a flawless round. Have the diffuser at least, so that is some, consolation, but no damage done to Big Brain, which honestly is surprising given how these rounds usually play out.
Vertex, unfortunately, going for the pre-fires and not finding much of anything. Big Brain know that they have a distinct advantage right now and do not need to force. We hear the bulletproof camera, EMP going off, courtesy of Repellent. Frostmat will be spotted. Cass pushing into showers. Will clear it out with that frag grenade. Has 2 more boosts in hand. Unfortunately, I think only one of them will be usable before the round ultimately comes to an end, it would seem. Chloe, prime, ready with the shotgun. Ducks herself out of danger. The pre-fires again coming through, but both narrowly missing her. Will fall to Cass. That engage with the SMG-11 does not go her way. Pushing through, it's again more resistance there. Hazel falls. It's on to Cass to clutch up Yoshi. Has found frag after frag after frag. Repel falls, but no! Yoshi's not going to do the same. Flicks at 90 degrees and closes the round out.
That was a much more convincing round there from Big Brain. A little bit shakier at the end, but still got the job done. That's the type of plays we'd like to see, and the type of plays they're going to need to close this out, or at least bring it to overtime. It is, of course, 4-6 in Vertex's favor. Big Brain need to find 2 more rounds in order to secure this. Vertex, on the other hand, not quite sure what went wrong in that attack. Could be down to the fact that there's a fairly one-dimensional push through that cache area. In other rounds where they've had more success, they've usually had a player flanking up to hit Big Brain from the side. I saw earlier, of course, Hazel usually taking that role. This time, didn't seem to have the same impact, and I'd like to see Vertex continue that trend because it certainly worked really well for them, and I'm a little bit puzzled why they didn't do that this time.
Yeah. I mean, again, potentially, doubting themselves a little bit, but it is that sort of breath that Big Brain needed. Within 2, this is doable. Yoshi stepping up for the team, finding some big kills in that last round. But Bunkin Daycare has been a bit 50-50. The last time they won it was because, unfortunately, Sarah fell through that hatch.
Attackers must locate and
I wonder if that hatch is open this time. No, it's not open yet. I assume they will open it right at the end, and if you fall for it again, then really that's on you, Vertex. You can't fall for the same thing twice in a row. Interesting set of rotates, though. 1 gate protects and angle back into sight. Yeah, Buck. No, that's not Buck. That's a Frost. Once again, roaming by herself, and again, a bit of a concern there that she gets picked off early without the trade coming through.
Serenity just having a bit of a wander on the roof, pinging out all that lovely utility for a team to clear out Cass and Cash. Meets a bit of resistance, but no shot's going to connect either way. Once again, Crouch walking her way through. Seizes a Frostmat, clears it out, and gets herself ready to maybe make a push through in towards waiting. And again, more of these pre-fires through the soft walls, looking for angles, looking for openings, wanting to make the opportunity theirs. Not to beat just yet. They will get themselves some great ground repel, the first to fall, courtesy of, as you would suspect, Serenity.
Nice peek there from Chloe with the SMG-11 and a good fallback as well. No need to take any more fights. You've got your trade. You can wait for things to slow down. Hazel, however, will put the pressure back on to Big Brain. 1 onto Yoshi. Star player from last round has been fallen now. With Hazel on the flank, the Jackal roams will be shut down.
1 player advantage for Vertex could be all they need. They've got the numbers game. All they have to do is play for the trades. Not really in the greatest spot to be trading from each other, though. I think Chloe and Fishnoodle the best in position to play that numbers game on the defense, though. But you look at it, they're so concerned about Cafe, but that is not at all the point of entry towards the site. They've opened initiation. They've got the angles. They've got the positionings. I mean, Big Brain have a tall task on their hands.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. The only consolation is, of course, some of these walls haven't quite been opened up yet. They will be able to maybe... Oh, no, I lie. One of those has already been opened up. Still, a lot of angles they need to be watching. And, oh no, Buddha on the flank. This might be the undoing of the defense.
This is a massive flank. Even if she just finds 1 to bench, she will reveal the position. Fishnoodle needs to win this gunfight, but it's a complete retreat. Burner Bear, the next to fall. Hazel just ripping heads. Buddha is going to find that kill in the end. Only Fishnoodle, the one with enough wherewithal to get out of danger. Cass put on the ground, but it's a finker, unfortunately. having used that nano boost, she will be stuck there for a while. And oh no, it's a team kill onto Sarah. This could go again. This could slip Fish Noodle. No, not gonna happen. Buddha won't let it. Vertex claim theme park.
Well, there's a little bit of a struggle there at the end, a few shaky rounds, team kill here and there, but they get the job done. 7-4, no less. Definitely a great scoreline, especially on Big Brain Esports map pick. Serenity, of course, MVP on this map, and we've already said it, MVP in previous seasons as well, but 13, 13, and 10 from Serenity, Cass, and Hazel, certainly leading the charge for Vertex, a well-deserved victory.
I mean, Vertex just knew. They knew exactly what they needed to be doing. They played it the way they needed to play it. They absolutely dismantled Big Brain, not just on the defense, but on the attack as well. It was impressive stuff.
Yeah, that flank from Buddha was really, really critical, even though it took a while to get that pick, but forced Fish Noodle back, and that opened up space, of course, for Hazel to take out Burner Bear as well, for the attack to advance and ultimately gain that map control. As we said, the flank is where Big Brain tends to fall apart a little bit, aren't quite always prepared for it, whereas if it's a one-dimensional push, it does seem to favor Big Brain a little bit more. Whether this story repeats itself on Clubhouse, we'll have to see, but of course, Clubhouse, last time they met, Vertex victory, and their map pick, tall water.
Yeah, look, the odds stacked up against Big Brain, unfortunately, but there is every possibility we'll see the maps traded and a reverse sweep come into play. When we come back after the break, though, we'll jump on into Clubhouse and see if that happens, or Vertex, will they be the ones to move to the grand finals? We'll see you soon.
Watch me now. Watch me now. Watch me now.
Everybody he's just watching.
I just get it done. Everybody talk. I just get it done.
Coming back after the break, Vertex take down Big Brain Esports map pick, a 7-4 victory for themselves. Spud, going into Clubhouse, which is Vertex's map pick. Any concerns that this might be a quick series tonight?
I would be lying if I said I wasn't concerned for Big Brain Esports. As much experience as they do have, it's certainly not looking good for them. Just based on how well Vertex have been playing, based on historical showings from Vertex as well, it's going to be a tough battle for sure. Big Brain need to at least take this map, get Vertex's map pick so they can at least go on to the decider, which, of course, is another map that Vertex have played and Big Brain have not. So all the odds are really stacked against them. They're the underdogs here. Vertex, of course, second in the league. So it's a matter of whether we see Big Brain, the underdog, come out on top of this, finally go up against Warriors, or Vertex finally make it out of this playoffs, and make it to face Warriors.
Yeah, there is a tough battle ahead of Big Brain right now as we head into Clubhouse. We saw your stock standard bans across the board. Any chances we see any deviations on this map, Spud?
Look, I still think the Thatcher is going to go. The Finker, maybe, though. Cass was doing so much damage on that Finker, and just the fact that, a little bit overpowered at the moment, I wouldn't be surprised if Big Brain took that away. They're actually going to take the Flores away themselves, which interesting, because we saw previously at Theme Park, Big Brain had a lot of troubles pushing players out of power positions at the defensive executes. So, not sure what that's about, but maybe it's a target ban against Cass.
Well, I mean, Maverick, it's understandable on Clubhouse. It has been played a decent amount and to great effect. Of course, Thatcher being let through, you've got to be a little bit more coordinated with the Thatcher in play, because obviously if you mistime the EMPs, if there is an active bandit or Cade juggle going on, which I mean, Cade has yet to be banned, and I would imagine it's going to be the Valkyrie. It's just that much more potent, especially on the basement bomb site. So Cade in play, Bandit in play, there is potential for the juggle. The Thatcher play has to be quite clean here from both teams.
Coordination on both sides hasn't been too bad, I would say. Overall, it's pretty good. They seem to know what they're doing. The pushes are coming in at the right time, the flanks, all of that. So it's not the coordination I'm too concerned about. It's more being able to speed up the attacks. We saw very prolonged, stalled out attacks from both sides when it came to Theme Park and Clubhouse, of course, another bit of a more defender-sided map. If these teams continue to take so long on their attack, they will really struggle there. And Vertex starting off on the attack, they're going to be facing that round deficit early on, unless they can really clean things up.
Well, Bernabet on the vigil would indicate that there is going to be some deep roam up on the top floor, but you've also got Chloe playing the post and Repel bringing that second Nitro into play. So they are going to be looking to get aggressive through the vertical angles, try and meet Vertex where they enter the building, while also holding fast in the site. There is a mixed bag from Big Brain in this first defense.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, we saw earlier from Big Brain that roams weren't exactly the best. We saw a lot of plays, especially Bernabet, playing quite isolated from the rest of her team. So I would like to see a bit more coordination there, a bit of crossfire, a bit of mutual support going on. Bernabet and Fish Noodle, definitely the candidates I would put together for this. They've both been doing so much damage, just holding power positions on their own, and I really would like to see them be able to support each other. I think that's where the best potential for doing damage comes in. On the side of Vertex, though, yeah, their roam clears have been clean, and with the Jackal once again available, not picked this time, could certainly spell disaster for Big Brain if they don't clean it up.
Yeah, Vertex seemingly reading into this upstairs play potential, knowing that there is a vigil on the board, but no mute, no Mozzie, so they haven't got that info denial. Burner is playing over towards Strip Club, now rotating towards the billiards room. Honestly, a big play here into Bar could shut down a Vertex push. I mean, if you take the first kill onto Hazel, that Buck out of the equation, it makes contesting that kitchen hatch infinitely harder.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, they are providing mutual support, which is so much nicer there. Fish Noodle will take that first fight, gets tagged up. Hazel, however, will get healed back up, so not quite having that same effect. But at least we'll stall things down, and with Chloe providing that info, could certainly hamper Vertex at least.
2 quick kills for Vertex. Burner and Fish Noodle to the 2 bar holders already removed from the equation. 2 layers of hard breach. Sarah on the Havana and Hazel bringing the secondary hard breach gadgets. The Nitro, unfortunately, going to miss the opportunity there onto anyone from Vertex. And the EMPs as well, providing the opportunity to start these hatches from opening up. Sarah on the job already. Will hit the X-Cairo button. They will start to pop. So many avenues now onto the site available for Vertex.
Yeah, they've still got a minute to work with, plenty of time. They've got the soft holes to work through. They've got the hatches. Sarah, however, will be taken out by that C4, a well-placed one with the information, but her job's done. The hatches are open, and that's a key ingredient here. With Chloe on low health as well, and taken out, this is not looking good for Big Brain.
Repel has the hatch to worry about, and the push from Blue. Serenity will claim her, and Yoshi tucked under the ash wall, left alone. Spots one, but Serenity's already there to shut it down. Vertex keep the trainer rolling. They pick up the first round of Clubhouse on the attack.
That was a clean attack. Perfect, almost textbook, bar that one death from start to finish. They started from the top, pinched in from the gym side, and also from that CCTV. Collapsed down onto the players in bar, and then got all the vertical, got all the hatches, got the picks, and then just ran straight onto site. Big Brain weren't really able to put much significant resistance up. Bar, of course, that C4, but that was barely a dent into Vertex's attack. Despite that, they still had all the players, they had all the presence, they had all the utility they needed to just storm onto site. And Big Brain were left scratching their heads.
Yeah, Big Brain. Well, look, Spud, we already had one prediction from the spectator client go correctly. Right now it's calling that Vertex will lose that opening gunfight as well. But we head to CCTV, so anything is possible here.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Yeah, after that, I'm not surprised we see a shift in sight. It's good to see at least keeping Vertex, guessing as to what's going to come up. But with that just still on board, it's certainly going to be difficult. I don't see the Bandit or the Kite here, so no tricking will be going on. They will be relying on holding these power positions, especially that garage area, and maybe top red cache door as well, to deny an early entry and a plant.
Already, we started to see some of these angles opened up. They've reinforced off the garage, but obviously the utility is not there to deny the X-Kairos from going off and opening that angle onto the rafters window. Hazel as well, getting primed and ready to try and contest that breach, or the wall that would result in a breach. I mean, there's just, I think this unfortunate Thatcher ban, or lack of a Thatcher ban rather, is working significantly against Big Brain right now.
Yeah, they have been able to open that wall up fairly quickly, but Repel will answer back, at least takes one with her. Yana and the frag grenade's gone, but that wall now wide open. Cass will make great use of it and takes out the third of it.
Oh, Fish Noodle to fall as well. Buddha will finish that one off, and all of a sudden Rafters is a very weak position for Big Brain. You can see all three players all sitting that northern side of the building. Cash, top red, and construction. So Vertex could quite comfortably get themselves into CCTV and make that plant happen. And with no nitro cells to deny, that's not an amazing prospect for Big Brain.
Yeah, as we said, taking this garage position now, it is a very, very strong position. Once you lose that play, it's really, really difficult to deny now without that vertical presence. Now they do get that cross from the garage across to the breach. Do have some smokes to work with, so that's going to be the only help they have here. But a minute still for Vertex to work with. They've got all the time in the world, and certainly still holding on to those powerful positions.
Yoshi on the flank, shut down by Cass. Repel with the toxic canisters has a huge job on her hands. Sarah going to avoid that first gas. Babe will look for the plant. The second one, though, is going to pinch her in between the two. Somehow she split the difference and is still going to get that plant off by the chassis. Repel, not knowing, won't be able to go for the deny here. So the plant down, Vertex with the crossfires. This is a deadly situation for Big Brain.
That's rather unfortunate. Did manage to get away with that, but with 3 players to find, they could actually make something work. But it will be the drone hole with that. Cass finds her third. Now it's all up to Repel. She started things off. Will she be able to finish things out as well? Sarah now on the rafters, not quite looking the right way, but she will manage that flick and takes out Repel. The SMG-11 just not doing the job here. Vertex will complete that round with another win.
Yeah, again, things just not quite falling into place for Big Brain on their defense. Vertex just keep the run going. The reattempt, though, looks like it is going to be coming into play. CCTV once again. No significant shift up in operators, though, which is a little concerning.
Do want to say the flank watch from Cass there was very, very good. She got 2 players on the flank. Yoshi tried to go for that big play, dropping down. But unfortunately, was once again shut down by Cass. And of course, a shot through the drone hole, not something you expect to see if you're the smoke trying, or the Jaeger, sorry, trying to play near that breach. Certainly saved the round there, I think. It stopped that retake from happening. And ultimately, it meant Repel left in that 1v3 scenario. Even with the SMG-11 in hand, couldn't quite get the kills.
Yeah, look, unfortunately, with the health that she had, it wasn't going to be a great gunfight. So had to try and play around that wall that was there to protect it. Unfortunately, not to be. Once again, though, they set themselves up for it. They're looking to hold fast.
5 seconds to go.
I think something that we've seen come through here is the consistency for Vertex. Every single time they're able to execute their plan very, very well, and even when things start falling apart, they lose their early picks, lose the kills, they're still able to bring it back. They're able to get the trades, or at least make something work, and I think that's a real testament to how well they're playing. On the other hand, for Big Brain, although they have gotten some rounds of some really, really great plays, it's a bit concerning they're relying on those hero plays stepping up as opposed to just good consistency that Vertex seem to have mastered.
Yeah, well, that will open up wide again. Chloe this time the one to play the smoke. So a minor shift in roles here in the third round. Unfortunately, yeah, it was... Oh, no, Burner Bear. Siege timing at its finest. The worst possible time to punch out that barricade. Hazel was waiting on the other side.
A bomb has been
Again,
located.
no trade backs there. No one to support Burner Bear or attempt to get that trade. It was a very difficult position to begin with anyway, but second as well, Hazel with the frag grenade, and this is not looking good.
Rafael again going in for a contest, but two key players off the board already means that the priority denial comes from Chloe. Toxic Babe will be thrown. That's the first. It's just denial at this point. Rappel falls as well. Hazel finding her third, of the round onto Yoshi. Chloe has to clutch up the 1 versus 5 with a minute 20 remaining. Looks to swing. Spotted, shut down. Vertex take their third round in a row, this time flawlessly.
Kill after kill after kill. Big Brain had no answer. Stuck on the point that was Vertex Esports push. And, well, at this point, what more can you say? That was flawless. That first round we talked about was a textbook execute from Vertex. That one even more so. Had all the angles, all the information. Big Brain struggling, really struggling here. 0-3 right now.
Yeah, I mean, after trying to go to Theme Park and trying to upset Vertex, Vertex just have Big Brain's number. There's no other way to describe it.
Look, we predicted that it would be perhaps a bit of a 2-0 there for Big Brain Esports with Vertex coming out on top, but I really didn't expect to see it in such dominant fashion. It is, of course, only fairly early days, 3 rounds in, but the way that it's been happening, Vertex are just play so well compared to Big Brain. I just don't know what Big Brain, need to do here, because they need to find something if they want to have any chance of disrupting Vertex's momentum.
I don't know. Oh, Big Brain, some great players in this roster. Absolutely love to see them coming in week to week, putting up the best showing possible. But Vertex, with the one of the 2 teams that they couldn't beat, and Vertex, they're going to keep that going.
It's certainly going to be a great match if Vertex make it through to face Warriors. Both teams looking very, very dominant. And Warriors, of course, yesterday struggled a little bit against Radical Rebels. And so if they go against Vertex, things could actually look up for Vertex. Vertex and Org, mind you, hasn't been around in Women's League for a while. They did play, of course, in that first season, and they were the champions. So now, looks like they're looking to make a return. Doing it in a very, very convincing fashion. 3-0, Serenity 3-1 as well. Oh, Crossfire finally coming through. Hazel will find that pick.
Trades one back at the very least. The Vigil gone, but the cost of your IQ and your sledge, especially on a basement attack, not ideal, but workable. They can make this happen still. 90 seconds in a Nitro Cell. Yoshi's this time comes into play, and Buddha somehow escaping further punishment, looking to set themselves up for the EMP play onto the hatch. But, I mean, we've seen Vertex bounce back from more significant deficits.
Yeah, 1-2 players down. Really not a big deal for Vertex. It doesn't matter, even if they're losing those players at the start. They just keep rolling on. It's unstoppable for Big Brain, and yeah, Vertex is just playing really, really well. There's no way around that.
Oh, look at the info, though. Chloe is just feeding it through to the team. And they could really look to do some dangerous work with that info as well. Rappel considering the Artilla Claw juggle onto the Moto hatch. they do potentially have the opportunity to make something happening. 2 EMPs in play going to the final 30, but they might have missed their opportunity here. The Nitro is there. They know it is, but they cannot clear it out. That is a truly unfortunate situation. The Artilla juggle might be good here. All of a sudden, Vertex might have been stymied in their aggression. Yoshi tagged Hazel to fall. Fish Noodle on the job, providing cover. Yoshi finds Buddha and Sarah falling to Fish Noodle as well, courtesy of the 416 Carbine. Big Brain finally on the board.
Much more convincing way to take out that round. And I think the difference here, as we saw early on, was the crossfires. Crossfires meant that Serenity, I believe we were watching, wasn't able to get that pick onto the Vigil as early on. Repel playing on those blue stairs, able to get the drop on her first. And historically, that's where Big Brain has suffered, and now finally they seem to have woken up to that, managed to get that advantage finally. And it's worked out well. Having said that, it's about consistency, and if Big Brain don't keep this sort of performance going, mind you, on defense as well, this is just a one-round thing. It's going to be but a speed bump for Vertex, and a very small one at that.
Oh dear, we hit the gym bedroom. This site can be rather interesting, Spud. I mean, it can be a bit of a mess. It can be one that is both easily very defendable, but also at the same time can be the opposite, very easily taken on the attack. So, Big Brain Esports, if they set themselves up correctly, they're going to be sitting pretty. Right now, everything again, the scale is leaning towards Vertex.
5 seconds remaining.
Vertex are playing very well. It's undeniable. You can barely fault them. They're doing everything right. It's by the book. They're getting the picks. I don't know, the Big Brain, it's going to be a real struggle here, right? Everything they've thrown at Vertex so far just does not have seemed to have worked. Bar 1 or 2 rounds, the consistency is just there for Vertex. We'll have to see, though. Of course, still 2 rounds before this round switch, but remember, this tends to favor the defense, and Big Brain already down so much on their defending half. It's going to be a struggle.
Already, utility cleared out, wall opening secured through Jacuzzi, and you can see the pinch coming from both sides of the map. They'd pushed into CCTV already. Burner. It's a pretty tall task holding the main stairs here, given that there are now so many angles into the building and onto the site for Vertex. And you just got to hope that the gunfights go their way. The swing, unfortunately, an opportunity not presenting itself, and Repel are going to be hit with a full flash, and the white screen to follow. Big Brain, they're going to steal themselves and look to hold on fast.
They have managed to keep a hold of a lot of these positions, though, that Jacuzzi position, that Con position, and also in cash. So that's good news at least. They're burning time. And it seems that Vertex are struggling a little bit to push them out of there. But we know all it takes is 1 kill, and the snowball starts to build. Big Brain need to be careful not to expose too much and give away these picks, because Vertex absolutely will pounce on it.
Already that utility starting to be cleared out. The castle barricades now removed, so they have angles into gym. They have the opportunity to go for that plant. Repel, unfortunately, walks straight back into the double. Chloe there to trade back. It's a good kill, but unfortunately so is Buddha's, who is pushed in through Logia, now taking control of Master Bedroom, and the kill to follow. A trade. In fact, no, sorry, it was denied from Buddha. It was a trade between Hazel and Bernabet in the end, out on that Jacuzzi balcony. Serenity has the diffuser, needs to get into the site. Yoshi going to be forced off for the moment. Fish Noodle there to reclaim the position that her teammate gave up on. Serenity on the plant. No nitros in play. It's going to have to be a push from the main stairs and from Con, but no, Buddha to hold fast. Denies the push from Con. Yoshi's up main. Is going to find the angle onto Sarah. Is there info? No, there's not. Vertex are absolutely storming away with the half.
Again, a beautiful attack there from Vertex. They came in with the perfect pinch. Buddha especially, I think the MVP there, pushing through logistics and clearing out that space. And then once they had site control, the last 2 players were just left high and dry all the way over in cash. And it's interesting because usually when you go for these gym bedroom attacks, you do try to take cash to stop them from getting the angles across the windows. But Vertex, realizing that it's such a powerful position and very difficult to attack, decided, well, let's just forego it entirely. Let's just put all our efforts elsewhere. And essentially, they bypass it. I'm pretty sure Buddha just came through the hatch or that con single wall and just walked right past the cash players. And that ripped the site wide open. They did not expect the player to be pushing from that direction. And even with all the trades coming out, it meant that Vertex had that side, western side of the map, free for the execute.
Oh dear. Things not quite going the way that I imagined. Big Brain would have hoped tonight. Vertex with a 4-1 lead.
Remaining.
I mean, again, what are the odds that we see this go 5-1?
5 seconds left.
Fairly high, just based on the way they're playing. I always like to say that attack is where what separates the good teams from the great, because attack is where you take the momentum, you have to decide what to do. And Vertex have been really good at leading that charge. They know what they want to do, they know how they want to do it, and it's beautiful. They're exactly where they need to be at the exact right time. Big Brain struggling on both the attack and defense now. I think Vertex are just in a level above.
PMP incoming.
Indeed they are. Hazel popping that con wall, not knowing that Yoshi was on the other side. Orange icons, it gets a bit confusing. I mean, this is exactly how we saw Big Brain play it out last time. Unfortunately, they lost it because of that Logi push. So hopefully they've got someone to try and defend.
Oh, the only player on this side of the map, once again, holed up in this bathroom. Fish Noodle will be able to at least find one, but she's going to be feeling the pressure from that thermite very, very soon. Chloe is in the master bedroom. We'll be able to get a bit of help across, but it's difficult. It's going to be difficult, especially with Cass leading the charge here.
Oh dear. Cass, unfortunately, luckily, has support in the form of Serenity. Will fall from that main stairs position. They do have the opening. So whether or not Chloe is watching the angle, or Serenity again, trying to get aggro up into logistics, but not to be right now. Big Brain do have the positions to make this one work. They have a lot of defensive angles. They're not playing it aggressively. Chloe will somehow win that against Cass, despite losing significant investment in health. Luckily, though, for Big Brain, Serenity is already low. Buddha tagged even further. The push from Logi not going to happen this time around. The EE1D to come out. There is still somehow a minute in play. Repel spot Serenity top of main. The swing from Yoshi is good onto Buddha. That's diffuser down. Serenity falls, but Sarah's there. She's got to find 3 to make the clutch a possibility. Too many angles, too much to worry about. And Big Brain will at least make it a 4-2.
Chloe, certainly the MVP there. If it hadn't been for her, that would have been over for Big Brain. No doubt about it. Holding on that very, very interesting position behind the shield. Vertex just weren't able to find the answers. Also, it did, of course, it helped Big Brain that Chloe was just cracked. It just got all kills. So, although Vertex did stumble a little bit, certainly it's not over yet for them. They're still 2 rounds up, they go on to the defense, and Big Brain now have to find the same pacing that Vertex found on the attack if they want to take it to overtime, let alone win this map, because, as we mentioned, Vertex, it's their map pick. They're already a map up. Big Brain don't find this one, it's over for them.
Yeah, look.
Defenders, protect your bombs.
I mean, it's a valiant effort to hold on. I mean, look, maybe they get that refresh they need going into the attack. Every possibility is there. But I mean, again, Vertex just seems to be the one coming up trumps more often than not.
And we did mention that, what was I going to say? I was going to say about, the things that have worked against Vertex, but then I realized it really isn't that much. Really, it's a matter of crossfires, getting those trades. Vertex have been able to do so, Big Brain, not so much. Big Brain on their attack last time, we did see them stall out a little bit and walk into the crossfires on site. And we could see a similar thing happen here, especially on this basement where you do have less points of entry. It's a little bit more anchor focused. It's up to Big Brain to change that and make sure they don't repeat the mistakes from last map.
Yeah. Unfortunately, those mistakes have cost them. There's a reason that Vertex is up 1-0. Right now, though, Big Brain have the opportunity to be the aggressors in this situation. Be the ones to be playing off the front foot and forcing Vertex into less favourable positions. But first tag onto Hazel is a good indication and a good start. But you look at Vertex, they've so much more committed into the vertical play.
Again, 2 players providing that support and with that crossfire, but unfortunately Yoshi will win out with that. I'm not sure where Serenity has gone. Oh, no, she's all the way over here. She knows there's a play outside the window. I don't know if she's aware of that cash play, but Yoshi finds a second onto Buddha. Okay, not sure what's happening here, but Yoshi is just running rampant. Having said that, Serenity still up here and could definitely do some damage.
Yeah, unscouted, whether intentional or not. I don't think that was the idea that Vertex had in setting up this extension. But the Nitro to come out from Sarah onto Fish Noodle lands at her feet. Unfortunately, not enough to confirm the kill. And they will be able to get it back up. So 5 versus 3 should still be in effect.
Oh, and with that, the Jaeger has been spotted out. Her number is up. Just in time, too. She was going for that flank and could have done so much damage. But unfortunately, will be put down by Chloe on very low health. But hey, at least this is working out so much more in favor of Vertex. I mean, sorry.
when you get a bit too aggressive, and then they bring in, their 3 older brothers who are just much more effective than you are. And yeah, the kill goes the way of Big Brain. They have a significant player advantage here, but you look at the numbers across the board. There is no Finker in play. Fish Noodle and Chloe would both die to impact. If there was one, obviously, in this round, could die to the Artillery Claw electrification, possibly as well. But, well, Vertex, they are going to have to steel themselves in this engagement. The utility dump, the shield cleared from that basement or hallway. It already can hear the X-Kairos going off. The push needs to come. The drones, though, are not done for Big Brain. They want that info. Sarah finds the first for her team in the round. Yoshi to fall. That leaves 2 very healthy and 2, well, very unhealthy players remaining. The swing on is good from Fish Noodle, despite being so low, and it's Sarah alone to hold on. What can she do? Only 6 seconds. There's no plant going down. Might be able to stop this one from happening. Where is Repel? Where is the defuse planter? No! Doesn't find the angle, but Big Brain, they're going to breathe a sigh of relief, taking the first round of the half for themselves in the attack.
That certainly went a lot better. Once they managed to get rid of some of these players and make sure they didn't make it back to the site, things were understandably a lot easier. They didn't have to walk in that same meat grinder crossfire we saw Vertex put up last time. So, worked very well for Big Brain. On the side of Vertex, I think they've figured out that they probably don't need to play so aggressively. They just need to burn up some of that time from Big Brain and just fall back, wait for them to walk into their waiting arms. They still have a round to make that happen before it evens back. But this is, of course, Vertex's map pick, so they've got that going for them.
Yeah, the safety net there for Vertex. But, I mean, how wild would it be to see the halves traded out? Well, the map, traded out between the 2 teams. Vertex to win Theme Park, Big Brain to win Clubhouse. I mean, with a round like that we just saw played, Big Brain are looking solid on the attack.
Of course, still have to deal with the CCTV site, usually considered the best site. And we do see that the Bandit and Kaid come in here, so we're going to see a lot of tricking. Big Brain will have to be very, very coordinated with how they do things if they want to keep that wall open, but so far they've been pretty good with that, so I wouldn't put it past them to be able to open that wall pretty efficiently.
Yeah, the utility, I mean, it should be quite clean. Seeing what we didn't see on Theme Park, they're leading us to that double hard breach, having that option available to them. We saw that number of times it punished on Theme Park where they limited themselves to just the one and couldn't get a key opportunity opened up. Right now, Big Brain, look, they're just all heading straight for that key piece of real estate over towards garage and CCTV.
Magnet activated.
Serenity maybe prepping for a jump out here.
Bomb located
No one
by
in the
attackers.
basement, so not going to be seeing any contact there. But Buda actually going for that trick doesn't quite succeed, and we do hear that ectodemic charge go off in the background, so at least that's a key wall open. 1 minute used to open that wall, not too bad.
I mean, yeah, again, you're right on the money there, Spud. Getting that breach open in record time. Well, not necessarily record time, obviously. It can be done faster, but getting that breach open in good time allows, more options. Big Brain don't have to hurry themselves. They don't have to rush. They give themselves that sort of extra 30 to 40 seconds to try and figure out just how they want to play it. It may not be a rush through the breach. It may be a push through rafters or through con or any number of different options. I mean, hell, we could even see a CCTV window jump in. But right now, they're just evaluating what options are available.
And they're looking to apply pressure onto these site defenders and hopefully thin out the herd before they start going for that execute. Because as we've said multiple times, this is where they really fall apart. So far, though, Vertex holding onto their positions fairly well. No damage done, in fact, on any player, and it will be Repel first to get dropped. Can be picked up, but yes, will finally get picked up. But a lot of damage done, nevertheless.
Oh, these nano boosts are going to have to come in clutch. They've gotten Rafters control. Well, actually, no, sorry, they haven't. They've got it to Garage, but no Rafters control guaranteed. 2 quick kills go the way of Vertex. Cass on the ground. But the support, there's a massive support there, and it's Chloe alone. Somehow out on that balcony Repel. All of her teammates mopped up in mere moments. Big Brain absolutely crumble when push comes to shove. Vertex now have their full 5 back up and in play. They've got toxic canisters, they got nitros with 20 seconds remaining. I mean, Chloe, you'd almost just go up to the roof and talk with the team because they know exactly what's going on. Hits herself with the flash and takes half her health and damage. Hey, flawless for Vertex to extend that lead once again.
I'm sorry, Serenity. That was pretty good. I thought it was a 3K, but it's actually 4 and...
No,
I don't know. It was definitely
wasn't.
a 3K, Serenity. 3K. I saw all 3 of them.
It would have said if it was an ace, and I'm pretty sure Cass got a kill, so no.
Having said that, that 3K was the pivotal moment. We've talked about how the flanks on Big Brain always seem to be their downfall, both on the defense and now on the attack. Serenity just walked through that minibar and got all the players in garage. Easy peasy, just like that. You cannot let someone like Serenity do that. You cannot let her get that close, right? Because she will absolutely rip your team apart. And that's what happened. Big Brain went from 4 players to 1 in a matter of seconds. So, yeah. I don't know what more there is to say apart from the fact that Big Brain need to watch their flanks and Vertex are just doing really, really well.
Boy, are they what? Boy, are they what? Just insane stuff. Vertex just are on another level tonight. They want that grand final spot. They want the match against the Warriors, and they are doing solid work in the attempt to make that happen.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
Yeah, we've seen Big Brain shine for sure. We've seen where they've done really, really well, and we can see what's gotten them this far, but the consistency here is what's missing. And inside of Vertex, though, it's all there. They've brought their A-game. Yeah, these rankings that we've seen so far really make a lot of sense.
Hazel at it again. We'll find the kill onto Yoshi. Sophia down. That's a lot of utility clear removed. Not to mention a hell of a gun, too. I mean, it just... round upon round, the unfortunate seems to happen. They will get a kill back onto Buddha. That is your smoke for Vertex. A roaming smoke shut down up on the 3rd floor, or 2nd floor, rather, depending on who you're talking to. That is... that could be a hugely detrimental pick to lose. I say that Serenity's going to get aggro onto Burnabear anyway.
Excuse me? She just walks away, and with that, the damage has been done. That's 2 picks already. They can just mosey on back to site. Wait for the Big Brain to have to sort out this mess upstairs, figure out where everyone is, and then finally get back to site. That's a good minute taken off the board already. Really well played from Vertex. Again, the support there, 2 players, and making sure they can get the trade just in case. Wasn't needed, of course, because, of course, Serenity just kills everyone. But yeah, I'm really liking how this is playing out. Last time we saw Vertex take the site, Rome didn't work out so well. This time, though, flawless.
Yeah, not only did they get their kill onto Yoshi, but they picked up Burner Bear, which is your Thatcher. And unfortunately for Repel, she is going to have to get creative when it comes to the X-Kai replacement. First one's eaten by the electrification. Second lot will be good. So they are just going to try and pop that hatch if they can. Second lot should be all right as well. I think that is just enough to get the hatch open. Potentially, no. Unfortunately, only one of each of those lots is going to count. Chloe finds Serenity, though. So they will at least cut their losses. The nade below. Sarah, no ability to go for the juggle. Does not have the second Artillicor in hand. So they should be able to get this hatch now.
No, not like this. I've seen this in, like, ranked or 10-mans, but if that had landed, that would have really hurt. Sarah's still with the C4 in pocket. I'm just a little surprised she didn't throw that back up at the sledge earlier on, but hey, you save it for a later day. Cass with that long angle onto Fish Noodle, and there it is. Sarah onto Chloe as well.
I got ya.
With that pick, things are looking dire for Big Brain indeed.
The pick up there, so it is 2 at least. Utility dump is going to cost Repeller shins and takes all of her health along with it. Hazel hitting the Ripper shot. Sarah closes it out with a lot of Fish Noodle. Spud, we are primed and ready. Now on map and series point here for Vertex.
Look, Big Brain have their moments. They've done well at times, and especially that mid-round, opening up some of that utility and getting a couple of picks worked well. But at the end, it all falls apart. It falls apart when they run headfirst into the wall that is Vertex's defense. They just cannot get through those players. Vertex up 6-3. 3 rounds for Big Brain to equalize, and 1 for Vertex to take it all away.
Gym bedroom, the site of choice for Vertex. That does not bode amazingly, of course.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused.
Big Brain, there's so much that can go wrong on this site, especially with the Caden play. If they lose Burner Bear at all before they get that breach open, this is going to be Vertex's map to take.
Gym bedroom can be a very, very strong site, mind you. You've got that, as we mentioned, horizontal spread out from Cash already being prepped by Hazel. No frost mats, which I'm a little bit disappointed in, because I really love seeing frost played, but it still do a lot of damage.
Seconds to go.
2 hard breaches this time, thank goodness. It'd be a real shame if that's the way they lose, because they lose that early hard breach. A lot of frag grenades to work with as well. Hopefully we'll be able to flush some of these players out from their power positions, especially that showers, Cash, things like that.
Well, oh boy. I mean, this has to be a terrifying prospect for Big Brain, realizing just how close they are to potentially losing this out right now. They will not be done for the tournament, of course. They then would head on to first Radical Rebels in that 3rd, 4th place match, so they still have some chance to end in the money. But missing out on the top 2 spots, I mean, that's a significant chunk of change to miss out on.
Yeah, $1,000, mind you. That's a 2nd place prize. And $1,500, of course, for the winners. That's what's on the line here, or at least a shot at that against, of course, the Warriors. Vertex just 1 round away from making that happen. Big Brain now starting to get some of these castle barricades down, at least get some of these crosses. Wall is opened up as well, so good start with a minute taken off the board.
Indeed. Vertex, they have the tools to do it here. Unfortunately, I mean, Big Brain, the deficit that they are at, I mean, not only are you down a map, but you're also about to lose the 2nd. There is not a lot of wiggle room. There is not a lot of breathing room. And I can just imagine that, you know, the breath a bit short at the moment. Chest feeling tight. Hazel will find the first onto Yoshi. Sarah from below the hatch into Jim as well, looking to accentuate the issues that Big Brain are facing. Tag damage onto Buddha, but it's only a little bit. It's not anything significant. She can still absolutely do damage with a shotgun.
Disabling electronics.
Well, that's a cheeky angle. Repel better watch her feet. Doesn't quite land the shots there, but Big Brain once again stalled out. They started off strong, got the key walls open, but now haven't been able to find the picks, especially with Hazel on a rip here. 3 picks.
Hazel for 4!
Will it be 5? Will it be an ace?
No.
No, Serenity.
But it will be a flawless to close it out, Spud. 2-0 for Vertex here as they book themselves a spot in the grand finals alongside the Warriors. 7-4 Theme Park, 7-3 here on Clubhouse. Big Brain, they gave it their absolute best, but unfortunately, at the end of the day, it wasn't enough.
Outgunned, outsmarted, and outplayed, Vertex will take the win out against a Big Brain who fall 7-3. Valiant effort, of course, from both teams, but ultimately Vertex were just the better team. We saw it all throughout those games. Very, very good consistency overall, and certainly going to serve them well as they head into the finals next week against Warriors. For Big Brain, this isn't the end of the run. Of course, as we mentioned, they will get to play for that 3rd place. A bit of money still to pocket, but man, that's got to be disappointing. Falling at this critical juncture here. 2-0.
I mean, look, it was unfortunate, but it is what it is. Vertex, there's a reason they finished 2nd. There's a reason they came into this competition, this matchup being the favourite of the two. But look, Spud, the great part is we still have some interviews to go. So what we're going to do now, we'll throw it to a break and we'll get to chat to both teams before we close the broadcast. We'll see you guys back soon.
Watch me now. Watch me now. Watch me now.
Effectively, no, that has to try and come
Everybody
to Repo! He's just watching.
I just get it done. Everybody talk. I just get it done.
Winning a champ.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming back from the break. We're about to jump on into the winners interview, of course, from Vertex. We have both Cass and Serenity joining us for a bit of a chat to give us the rundown on how things have been going. First up, congratulations. You guys played some amazing Siege tonight. You've got the rematch in the grand finals. I mean, sort of run us through what it's like playing one for Vertex and in this team environment.
Oh, it's been amazing. It's like really interesting to see because naturally, I don't think any of us had been on a team at the start of the season together besides Cass and I. And then it's just really good to see the synergy and team build over the season.
Yeah, it certainly worked out really well for you guys. Were you guys nervous going into this? Because obviously, Big Brain, very good team. How did you feel going into it?
Oh my, Buddha and I, we were like petrified. We were so nervous. We had like no idea what we were doing. And then like the first 2 rounds on like theme, you could see we were all so nervous, like even in our voices as well. Like it was so bad, but we finally got there and we brought it back.
Yeah. I think I was getting messages all day. Every individual person on the team was messaging me saying, "Oh, I'm so stressed out." And I'm like, just chill. It's fine. We got this.
Now, sort of talk us through it. Unfortunately, the socials person for Vertex sort of let slip that you guys accidentally vetoed the wrong map. So talk us through that.
Well,
Yes, you're the one who did it. Go.
Well, I got put in charge of it. The first 2 maps were fine. That's what we were supposed to do, kind of. Well, we didn't really have a plan on where we wanted to go. We just knew to ban Bank and Chalet. That was the plan. And then when it got to the last 2 maps, I didn't realize that it's you ban and then what's left is what you play. So I banned Villa, wanting to play Villa, and instead picked Oregon. And I'm like, oh my god, please, we can't go to.
I just want you all to know as well. Cass's least favorite map is Oregon. She avoids that map as much as she
played it, like,
can.
4
I
times.
can understand that. I could
Fair
definitely
enough.
understand that playing casting ANZ Siege.
It is our least favorite map as well. So I'm really glad you didn't take us there because, it
Thank
would have
God.
been, So that's good. But theme park, obviously, I'm a bit surprised that they let you go back to theme park. Were you expecting them to take you to theme park?
We had a feeling, but it's also one of the maps that we have played a little bit anyway. Once we got the first 2 maps out anyway, we're comfortable with the rest, so we were happy with whatever was left, to be honest.
Well, look, congratulations once again, ladies. Before we let you head off and celebrate your victory, though, is there anyone you'd like to shout out?
Obviously, big thanks to Vertex for taking us under their wing and supporting us through this season. It's really good to see the admins, the casters, and behind the scenes people all back at it and doing amazing and helping women's gaming thrive in Oceania. And I also have to thank our subs, Pipo and Laura, for pulling in, and also shout out to Monash for scrimming all the time.
Yeah.
All right, look, we'll let you guys head off. Off they go, Spud. Vertex's most successful Rainbow Six team so far. So we'll let them go and celebrate their victory in kind. But right now, we're going to start to another break, Spud. Before we close things out, though, we will be having a bit of a chat to Big Brain Esports as well. So when we come back, we'll jump on into that. See you soon. Welcome back from the break. We've got another interview on our hands. It is going to be the representatives from Big Brain Esports, Bernabet and Yoshi, coming in for a bit of a chat. It's definitely going to be good to get some insight here on this one, Spud. Now, ladies, an unfortunate loss, but let's be honest, top 4 is still absolutely nothing to sneeze at. It might even be top 3, depending on how things go against Radical Rebels. But, I mean, let's just talk us through it. You make playoffs, you come up against Vertex. Was there any sort of concern coming into it before the match?
I don't think... You go, Yosh. Go. No. Look, I don't think there was necessarily any concerns. Look, Vertex are a really strong team, and so we knew that going in. Our previous match against them was close. They came away with the win, but we certainly left that game feeling like we could definitely get the one up on them. So we came into it expecting that it could go either way. Unfortunately, like, things didn't go our way in the end, but yeah, it wasn't so much nervous or concerns. It was just, yeah, we thought we could get one up on them, but didn't in the end.
Yeah, sometimes it just works out like that. But there is one thing I do want to ask about. So Vertex did mention they actually banned the wrong map at the end. And so it's a map bans I want to talk about. Theme Park and Clubhouse. Yeah, what were your thoughts about leaving Clubhouse up for them, especially given the previous results?
Well, Clubhouse is a sort of like very popular map in Women's League. I don't think there's ever been a season without Clubhouse. So we felt pretty comfortable clubs. So we weren't about club.
Yoshi's just got and cursed it now. They're going to remove Clubhouse in the next match.
Please.
I would be completely happy with that.
So would we.
Oregon and Clubhouse next to go, please.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. Bring in Favela, right?
Okay,
no,
look, we won't talk about that.
Let's bring Yacht back.
Oh, yeah.
I would be down for some Yacht, 100%. But I mean, look, ladies, it's been another impressive season from you. You guys consistently put on a show. I mean, just talk us through. I mean, we got to hear from Vertex sort of what goes on behind the scenes. Talk us through, how your season's gone, how things have sort of led up to this point.
Well, there's been a lot of singing in games and scrims. And yeah, I don't.
We've learnt Cheesebender as a parrot. So if you start humming something or start like doing any kind of tune, she will pick up on it without realizing, and it will continue.
Yeah.
So
funnily enough, my partner does the same thing, and I unfortunately learnt this 2 months before she realized it's what I was doing. And so if I was bored, I would just sit there and start singing a song, and the rest of the day she'd be singing as well. So Cheese, look, I can see how that might happen.
It's good, but it's good to keep the spirits up. Everyone on the team loves it.
Oh, look, you got to have fun while you're playing the game. If you're not having fun, what's the point?
Exactly.
Before I let Spud answer his next question, because I know he's been working on them. Look, you guys, you tried a bit of funky stuff. Like we saw a couple of, very, very near successful plays. But I mean, you've got some big brains on the team, hence the name, obviously. I mean, whose role is it in the team to sort of come up with those strategies and sort of try and outwit your opponents?
Honestly, when we've done strats, we more do it as a team. Like we all throw out suggestions. And then we've
so
got
the
our
name
coach.
is accurate.
Yeah, and we've got our coach that is just like, yes, we can do this, or no, and this is why. So big shout out to Webb, our coach. He's very good.
Yeah, it sort of comes from a bit of everywhere. Like someone will we'll be sitting there working on a site for a while, trying to think of ideas, and then someone has an idea and give it a crack. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But some of them can really come out of left field. There's some we haven't got to play yet, so hopefully next week, depending on what maps we get, we can bring some of them out. But yeah.
Definitely.
Speaking of next week, Radical Rebels, you guys did win last time. So how are you feeling about that? Because, of course, it is a third place playoff next week.
Feeling all right. I think we've got a week to VOD review a lot. Just scrim, work on ourselves. Yeah.
All right. Look, I've got one final question. If there was to be a battle hymn for Big Brain Esports, which song would it be?
Battle hymn.
Yeah. So what's the song you guys are
The
all
most
pumping,
popular one?
you're all singing while you go into battle?
The theme tune, maybe?
It would have to be We Don't Talk About Bruno.
Yeah.
From Encanto.
That's the only one we can say on
yeah.
stream, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's,
fair
yeah,
enough.
that's the G. Yeah. The
We'll have to,
G-rated
we'll
one.
have
If
to
you
get
hum
the,
it right,
the Spotify
then I can't
playlist
hear the
after.
lyrics.
But look, ladies, an unfortunate loss, but a hell of a season for you so far, and potentially that podium finish. Before we let you head off, is there anyone you'd like to shout out?
Look, big shout out to you. Go, Yosh. You go.
I was just going to say a big shout out to Webb for sticking with us this long and putting up with our craziness. To all the girls on BBM, Big Sports, sorry, for sticking with it, dealing with the chaos in the team. Berna?
Yeah. Just to add to that, like everyone involved with XP Esports, like all the organisers, casters, admins, everyone, you do an awesome job. And big thanks to everyone like in chat each week watching the streams. You guys are amazing. So yeah, thanks. You're all awesome.
Look, let's be honest. Our jobs wouldn't be as easy as they are if you didn't give us the great gameplay. So look, keep it up, ladies. We look forward to seeing more of you. We'll let you head off and get ready for next week. That fourth place match to decide who finishes in the top three, of course, Spud. It has been a quick day, quicker than we expected. We expected maybe a bit of an upset, but Vertex, I mean, they just came in too prepared. They looked solid. They looked good. And they look solid to go into that grand finals match. Do you reckon there is potential for maybe another upset, or is it just going to lay as the cards are?
Look, based on how we saw Radical Rebels versus Warriors play out yesterday, there is a bit of a glimmer of hope. As much as I hate to see, the old dynasty of Warriors fall, I think it's finally time we saw someone else take the crown. And what a better team. There's no better team to do it than Vertex. They played so well coming in this season with new players, a new setup, and then suddenly just going all the way to the top. Definitely would make a really interesting storyline and it'd be exciting to see a new champion. So really look forward to that match next week.
Well, let's have a quick look at the final bracket and see how everything is going into play for the final week of this season of the Women's League. Match 1 of the semi-finals, Warriors versus Radical Rebels, like you said, 2-1 there. Semi-final 2, a little bit quicker. Vertex take down Big Brain Esports 2-0, which means grand final, Warriors versus Vertex, and Big Brain Esports taking on the Radical Rebels. So, I mean, do you reckon there's possibilities for upsets across both matches, or just potentially the grand finals?
Look, both matches are up in the air. Radical Rebels played really, really well yesterday, and they could swing things around. They've obviously done well they went from a 7-0 loss against the Warriors the first time to play to taking a map 8-7. So really, third place playoff is in the air as well. It's going to be exciting. It's going to make Our job's a lot more difficult at predicting anyway, because I don't know what's going to happen. It could be anyone's game.
Not wrong in the slightest, but it has been, a very interesting season. We've got to see, more than we expected in terms of individual performance and team performance. But that does bring us to the end of our semi-finals. Before we head off those, but a massive thank you to our sponsors, of course. Without them, none of this would be possible. Zowie, Ubisoft Computer Alliance, and ZQ Racing. They make all of this possible. They make it a possibility for us to come in and talk about these awesome games and these awesome ladies as well. But Spud, final thoughts going into the final week of play, grand finals, third, fourth place. What do you reckon?
Well, I'm not even going to call it here because everyone knows Caster Curse is a thing. I just know it's going to be a really, really good game. Really looking forward to seeing it. There's not much more you can say about that.
Well, there you have it. When we come back for our next broadcast, it'll either be the grand finals or the third, fourth place match. So make sure you are checking out our socials to see when those are coming up. But until next time, we'll see you. Have a good night.
Watch me now. Watch me now. Watch me now. I just get it done. Everybody talk. I just get it done.
Your companion. We are honored to stand with you, the pro gamer who keeps fighting to win in esports. Elevate your skill and maximize your potential with the ultimate gaming monitor. Zowie. Strive for perfection. Focus on winning.